Spontaneous response was, a storyteller, you must see what he says, right? So your story must make people see what you say. And when he talked about his dad on his last day getting wrapped into a flag before he was on his last journey, now that emotion in him and the scenario that he depicted, so you were seeing what he was saying. So I think that's another important quintessence, that when somebody says a story, you are able to see what that person is able to say. That
in your mind.
Visual, yes. So that visual gets drawn in your mind, and I think that's one very important aspect that I could be a part of.
So imagine you have gone to the vegetable market. This is helpful. If you close your eyes, it's helpful to visualize it, yeah? Imagine you've gone to the vegetable market, you're walking through, you know, this is a traditional vegetable market when you were a child. So probably it's, you know, half wet ground, you can get the smell of different fruits, different vegetables, somebody shouting, tomato, 40 kilo, 40 rupiah. You know, there are different hawkers calling out to you, and then, but you are looking for lemon, okay? So you go, walk straight down, you find the lady who has the lemons. She has this huge tray full of heaps and heaps of nice, fresh lemons. You pick up one in your hand, you can feel the nice, tight, leathery skin and the small pores on it. You bring it close to your nose. You take a deep breath and you smell the freshness in the lemon. And then you tell her, you know, I want to buy 1 kilo because I'm going to make pickles. Do you have the best, freshest lemons? And she says, of course I have the best, freshest lemons. What do you think? I don't keep anything else in my store. She cuts the lemon into half and she puts half a freshly cut lemon right into your mouth, squeezing it on your tongue. Okay, you can open your eyes. No lemon here. Lot of water in your mouth. So this is proof of the power of your imagination. Right? Yes, you can clap for yourselves for your fantastic imagination. So literally, your mind could not differentiate between the real experience of a lemon on your tongue and what your mind imagined. So coming to your point, sir, what is really happening is, you know, this can be very useful in situations where as leaders, you would like people to understand a certain other situation, but you know it is not possible for them to ever experience that situation. But in their imagination, they can experience it even better than they really would, and this would probably make them sensitive to that situation. So for example, we use this a lot in diversity and inclusion in the corporate, because not everybody, okay, let's just take a white, middle-aged American male cannot imagine what it must be like to be a brown woman in a village in India. But a story is a window into that world, into imagining what it must be like. Because you heard the story of Mr. Deepak, you were able to experience at least some of what he experienced, right? So that is the power of your imagination, and that's also the power of the exchange of stories, which is why one of my favorite sayings is the one that says, a stranger is someone whose story you do not know. And the other way around is, a friend is someone whose story you know. Yeah. And going further ahead, as we end, one of my, we have a short distance from the end time. So a quotation about the short distance. It says, storytelling is the shortest distance between two human beings. Yeah. It's a bridge, it's a connection, right? I could go on about the benefits of storytelling. You know, today there's so much of neuroscience that supports what are the effects of storytelling. I'm sure all of us today have heard about the happy hormones, You know, the 4 happy hormones that everyone talks about. Dopamine, endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin. Yeah? Dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, oxytocin, Google it, you'll find out more about it. These are called the happiness hormones. Endorphins help in pain relief. Dopamine is like it's like a reward that your body gives you, a reward feeling. Serotonin is generally stressful situations, it alleviates stress. Yeah, oxytocin relaxes. All of these have very similar qualities, and there's enough neuroscience research which shows that when you listen to stories, these are generated, right? And I'm not surprised. I've heard so many times, you know, like I had a session where I told stories to young people. I remember in a college, and one of the students, he found out my number and he WhatsApped me saying that, ma'am, I went back home and I told the story to my mother. She's been in the hospital since 3 weeks. I've not seen her smile. After listening to my story, she was full of smiles, so I wanted to tell you that. Yeah? I've heard these kind of stories quite often. So the neuroscience literally it's like, okay, it's just supporting what, you know, I've seen. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to say something?
I experienced exactly opposite of what Sunil said. I came back, he had expired, and my building was full of 1,500 people. So in fact, today when my 3 friends were there, and I was narrating this story, it became like catharsis for me. So it was different. I mean, it was emptying me out because I never forgive Papa. How could you leave without meeting me? And today it became like catharsis for me to go back and just forgive him and come out. So sometimes it's not like, you know, being there and listening and feeling the empathy. Sometimes it's just emptying it out.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. It holds meaning. So you have to share it from the teller's perspective, what it means to tell.
Atmosphere of trust, and we 4 friends were there, Anand and all of us, so I could just be there and take it all out. Yeah.
So glad. Yeah, very glad for that. Yes, I share this story of my father. You know, I was just thinking in the car also. Last few months, I've been sharing this story so many times, and I was like, Deepa, can't you think of another personal story? But my father passed away just a few months ago, and he passed away in my hand. So I think for me, it holds meaning, you know, that I want to share the story. I want to, it is an emptying, it is catharsis. Yes. There is a lot of work on narrative therapy also and healing. Yes, sir.
When sit in the High Court or that Supreme Court, every argument is a storytelling.
Yeah.
And therefore all the judges of the High Court and Supreme Court should be given the training of how to listen.
Sir, you will be happy to know that for the High Court judges. I do storytelling workshop for the High Court judges. Yeah.
Clients give short stories.
A couple of PPTs that I have. So this is unlike usually, you know, where you have the PPTs coming all through the session. For me, the PPT just wraps up everything that we discussed, everything that came up, you know, from our interaction, from our experience. So that's why it's something that just pops up in the end. Yeah, so I go down. Yeah, okay. Storytelling. Bivon Kidron, who's a very famous filmmaker and she runs Films Club, she talks about the idea how every civilization, even the ones that did not have the wheel. So this is my own doodle representing no wheel civilization where they were carrying saman. Every civilization, even if they did not have the wheel, they always had storytelling. There's no civilization, no community anywhere in the world that does not have storytelling. So this tells us something about what it must mean and its significance. Like we said, strangers become friends when we know their story. So a story, the shortest distance between 2 human beings. It of course plays a very significant part in communication skills. I like to call storytelling as licensed and channelized daydreaming. So basically, just like in daydream, you visualize everything, you see that trophy, you see that ice cream, everything is so real. That's how it is in storytelling. The only thing is, in storytelling, you have permission, you have license, right? If you're just sitting by yourself and dreaming, somebody will come and whack on the head. But if you're listening to stories, then there's license and permission for it. And the other part is that the storyteller can channelize this daydream in a certain direction, in a certain path. And this really is the power of storytelling and communication. We as trainers, as coaches, as leaders in communication, when we choose certain stories, we know what the possible impact on the mind could be. And the mind is already open to receiving. So this is the fun part. There's something that anyone hates. I mean, just remember, just think of any 2-year-old, right? If you say, "Arey, usko mat chhuna," the next thing is, right? We know so many 2-year-olds who put their hand on the pressure cooker, inside the hot water, only because mama said, don't touch it, right? So that's literally how the mind works. When we're giving instructions, when we're giving messages, when we're telling people what to do, the response is a lot of resistance. However, with storytelling, it's I will find out, I'll discover something from the story for myself. So there's the joy of discovering, and also it's minus the pain of instruction, of being instructed. So whether it's communication skills or critical thinking or creativity, which are all among the 14 of the 21st century skills, in fact these are among the top 4 or 5, storytelling offers us scope for any of these, right? This is what I quickly wanted to share with you. Also have another small PPT. I'm just going to take 2 minutes more, is that okay? Sorry, ma'am, that's communication skills, critical thinking and creativity. Storytelling offers us scope for all 3, right? This was related to storytelling and communication. So whether it is a speech or an essay, or it is a PowerPoint presentation, usually one has a specific intent in the communication, right? So if we break it up, any of these, you can change the word speech into essay or a PowerPoint presentation. For any of these, it's valid. There are always just 3 parts to it: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And the introduction is basically, you're going to tell them what you're going to tell them. What is it that you're going to tell them about? That's what an introduction is. The body is, you actually tell them. And the conclusion is, you tell them what is it that you've told them about. A very simple breakup of any speech or any essay. So when we are telling them what we are going to tell them, a great way to start is with what we call the ho-hum approach. You have to wake them up, which means we believe that the audience is asleep, that the audience is not interested in our talk, in our speech, in our essay. The audience is absolutely bored. So it's my business to wake them up in the very start. So a great way to wake up the audience is jokes or anecdotes, rhetorical questions, statistics, quotations, and especially a story. So in your communication, straight away, starting with a story is a great way to wake up your audience and to hook your audience and to tell them what you're going to tell them. Again, these are things that I know I'm speaking to an audience that's very familiar, but I'm just showing this as a reference point, right? So when we prepare a speech or an essay, we first brainstorm, then we sort out the ideas, and then we sequence our ideas. And then the 4th point, which is transition. So if you notice in storytelling, right, there is a series of things that happen. And all of these are linked. The most important thing in storytelling is the link. Everything is connected and smoothly flows from one to another. So the same thing with the body of our speech or of our essay, whatever we are communicating. If we take care to create a sense of a story, create the link from one idea to the other, that's the way we're using storytelling. Alternatively, any of these points, instead of the point itself, if we narrate a story instead, the chances of it evoking emotion, evoking discussion, evoking memory, evoking critical thinking and self-reflection is much higher. And of course, before you leave, we're going to tell them what you told them, wrapping up the idea and leaving the imprint, convincing the audience of our thought, our worldview, our ideology, or whatever the case may be, which we want someone to think about or act on. Great way to end is again rhetorical questions or quotations, anecdotes, and absolutely with stories. Stories are, you can make your entire speech, your entire essay, the entire content of your communication can simply be embedded with stories. At the end of each story, you know what you want the audience to think about, but you needn't say it. If you know it and then choose your story accordingly, then it's reaching your audience without you saying it. So that's storytelling in communication for you. This, of course, the KISS rule is what a lot of us recommend. So I will also keep it short and simple and conclude here. Yeah. Thank you very much.
With me that you all enjoyed the session. It was very interactive and very interesting. So next few minutes we can have questions to Deepa, Kiran. If any of you have got some questions. Of course, it was very interactive and still we have some questions. Over to you.
Yeah,
somebody
questions
can pass on
and
the
comments, all are welcome.
Can someone pass on the mic backside, please?
For the Lions especially, what is the time, maybe I think maybe our senior faculties also can join, Anandji also can join and give an answer for it. What is the time we need to give for storycation? If I'm giving a presentation, so it's all depends upon again the topic, right? So what is the time I can give? Because normally what happens otherwise in our lines, they say this guy comes, he will tell his story and get off. Okay, so can you give any guidelines if in an identical presentation, any presentation we are doing? So what is the time we can allocate for this storycation?
Well, and since you have asked your senior members, maybe we could hear from them first, and then I can share.
Yeah. Because of paucity of time, we take more questions. Gururaj Bahadur, Mike, please.
As trainers, most of us use storytelling as a part of our training sessions. But we should be very careful in telling the story to the point. We should not exaggerate or mislead and misguide the participant. And because we have seen the mainstream media and social media, when they tell stories, they give lot of spin to the story and they exaggerate and they mislead their audience.
Can be. We need to.
Can I, madam?
Yes.
See, we have read a lot of books. When you go for the classics, there is a prologue, text, and an epilogue. The prologue gives us the summary of the story. Then we read the text and the epilogue. The same thing you have brought out beautifully. If you go to Carnatic music, Purandaradasa's Kirtanas, what we sing as Uga Boga, if you know, that gives the summary of the Kirtana. Exactly what you have said is there in our scriptures. Thank you.
Ula Boga. It's called Ula Boga.
Uga Boga. Uga.
It's part of, I'm talking about Andhra and Telangana combined. In my childhood, we used to read stories from Chandamama. Not many people who understand Telugu will agree with me. So it is so that we get addicted in reading these books. Sometimes we go far to some of the libraries where they are available. And we have very good fond memories of reading those beautiful stories. Probably we use those examples in some of our classes and teachings. So it's wonderful that we use somewhere. Thank you.
Be caution when we share a story because it might offend any of the participants, be it a religion based or be it anything, any particular incident. So I feel a caution has to be taken into account. That's my input here. I hope what I'm saying is valid.
Yes, yes, I hear you. I think the best we can do, like a teacher wrote to me, 2 days ago. She said, ma'am, I want to tell a Hindu mythology story in my class, but what about those children who are not Hindus in the class? So as long as you're sharing the story and post-storytelling, you're open to sharing of others' stories from their mythologies, and they know that that is the perspective of my teacher, I think that's meaningful. So if you can look up this talk called Danger of a Single Story. There's a very famous TEDx talk where she talks about the idea that as long as we agree that this story alone is not the ultimate truth, and that my agenda is to bring out multiple stories and to offer space for multiple stories. As long as we are clear on that, yeah, we are on good ground. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, I think it's time to conclude. Thank you very much.
One point, I probably did not touch on very specific methodologies of storytelling and communication. We can connect for that, because my idea is always in sessions like this to just share the principle behind it, because every person can come up with 10,000 methodologies on their own. Anyways, it's like, you know, fishing and the same concept, right? So that was the intention. If anyone feels that lack of specific methodologies being shared, please feel free to reach out to me. We can discuss about those. But I hope the idea of the principles behind it was, you know, brought out for, and your ideas also were brought out. I was hoping this would be a crucible for everyone to share and exchange. Right?
Deepa,
Thank you.
Deepa,
Thank you
just
so much.
one
thank you,
thing.
Deepaji. Thank you very much. I think we are following. I request our constitutional area leader, like Narendra Bhandari ji, to present a GAT certificate to our guest speaker, Deepaji. Thank you, Ms. Deepa Karan. Thank you very much. There, at that point, most of us trainers like to present whatever we would like to share with our audience in the form of a story. Or many times we begin with a story. We end with a story. The choice of the story is one thing that we need to keep in mind. And more important than that, how we narrate that story, how we connect it to the audience, and how we connect the content and its relevance to the purpose is what's equally important to all of us. So as trainers, I think there is a whole big opportunity for us to tell our clubs and our districts to create success stories. There are competitions there. I think lots of activity, lots of motivation has been happening here, and lots of incentives also are announced for success storytelling. So when we tell the stories, we can tell stories like Deepaji suggested. They can be fables, they can be about gods, they can be about happenings in our families, they can be about what happened to myself in my life. But better stories are about the service activities that we organize. For instance, we are doing a blood donation camp. So we can just say a blood donation camp conducted, so many units of blood collected, and we can send a report. That's not a story. But if you look at one person who has come to donate blood and talk to him and find why he has donated blood that day, what motivated him to do that, and if you make that, convert that into a story and use it when you go to motivate young people for a blood donation camp, I think that will fit in appropriately there. So as trainers, we must create our own. Create means, in the sense, we must look for stories wherever we go. For instance, today this event itself can generate 1,000 stories. What happened in the morning? What happened when you were received at the counter? What happened when you checked into your room? And what happened when you spoke to people? So you can pick up stories from wherever you are and whatever you're doing and add them to your training programs. They'll be certainly much more successful. Thank you very much, all of you. We are moving on to the next session now. So,
Dear friends, tomorrow 9:15, there's a session called Upscale Your Trainer Skills. And this session is going to be connecting you in terms of your identifying your next level as a trainer. All of you have to do a lot of programs, district levels, multiple levels, beyond your district, to the clubs, maybe to corporates, maybe to non-lions. So I know it's a very hetero crowd, a lot of levels are here, but I'm quite certain that every one of us will find a level to hang on to, which is a level above what you are today. It's for you to decide where you want to go next, right? So this session starts at 9:15, but I would encourage you to come 10, 12 minutes before. That's why I'm before you. Because I'm going to place some books there, right onto my right side. And these are books that I have been call it authored, call it a lead author role, or call it you as a trainer got your participants to write a book in 4 days' time and print the book and give it to them on the 4th day, right? Or it could be developing modules, it could be developing instructor manuals, it could be developing participant manuals. All of this is done in 3-4 days' time, and on the 4th day, the book that is there was given to them in that format, right? In the format that you will see today. You may say, how is it possible? 200 pages, 150 pages written by 30 people. Some of them are here, written by 30-40 people. How is it possible that in 4 days, you could put all their thoughts together and then give them a book as if it's a book on the shelf, right? Now, this is one level of trainer skill that you as a trainer can embark upon and try and achieve a little bit of expertise. I know there are different people, different levels, different ways. Some of you have written books, some of you haven't attempted writing books, some of you have written articles. So I would encourage you, if you can come 10-15 minutes before, take a glance on that table, then we will connect the session to what you have just experienced. So this is only a guideline for you. Our session will start at 9:15, but the books will be ready for you to refer from 9 onwards. Thank you very much.
I just would like to check if you're all still alert late in this evening. Let's all do a very simple exercise. When I say 1, wherever you are sitting in whatever position, you have to clap twice. 1. 1. When I say 2, you have to clap 3 times. 2. 2. And when I say 3, what do? You will not clap at all. 3. Okay, quickly. 2. 1. 3. Okay, right. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we are going on to the next session now. So before that, I just would like to make some announcements. There is going to be a short break now. We will break for 15 minutes. It's a bio break. There's no coffee there, but you can just go out and maybe use the washroom and come back. That's for 15 minutes. After that, we are going to reassemble, but when we reassemble, the hall will not be like this. When you come back after 15 minutes, this hall is going to be divided into 3 parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. This is called Ballroom 1. The middle one will be called Ballroom 2, and the last part of it will be called Ballroom 3. So when you come here, you have to reorganize yourselves into groups. In this part of the hall where I am standing now, this is hall number 1. You will, who will sit here? Who are the cancer curators? Raise your hands. Wow, that's good. So all cancer curators will come through this gate and assemble here in this part of the hall. And who are the diabetes deflectors? Oh, that's the second group. And also environment enthusiasts. Both of you will enter through that gate, the second gate, the middle gate, and you will sit in the middle of the hall. That's all 2. And who are the vision warriors? Yes. And also hunger heroes. Yeah, both of you will sit in the back part of this hall. That is hall number 3. And what will happen now? There are going to be concurrent sessions. And there were 9 concurrent groups already, and you were told who are going to make presentations. Today, group 1, group 2, and group 3 are going to make presentations. Group 1 will make a presentation here, and group 2 will make a presentation in the middle of the hall, and group 3 will make the presentation in the end of the hall. And when you are presenting, in case you want to use a slideshow, there is already organized an LCD projector and a screen there in each one of the halls. And we also have markers if you want to use the charts, and we will make some small adjustments to the furniture by the time you come back so that people will face the right direction. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Please stand. Then second speaker will be skills needed for facilitation by A. Amarnath Rao from again district, and the session coordinator doing nothing is yours truly, Jayanti Malik from 322 C3. Now my friends, you see what will happen that the 6 speakers will speak and you will listen, and the next stage, the second part, will be done by you. Now that we are keeping as a suspense for the time being, okay? So please listen to our 6 speakers on the 6 points on process facilitation. Our first speaker is, I call upon Narasimha.
Yeah, today we are going to discuss about training versus fill station. We expand, most of the people, they are confused about training versus fill station. Now we are going to explore. So in training, when it comes to training, trainer much emphasizes on learning and where participants are going to learn. And when it comes to training part, where they are going to majorly work on agenda, even participants, they are going to understand on subject and content. And I can particularly say that they work on content and it's a target goal oriented and subject to understanding. So this is part of training. In simple words, I can say that training is getting done, means doing and giving. And when it comes to facilitation, facilitation is particularly all to know about and think group together. And when it comes to facilitator, he helps to get problem solving. Means whenever they are getting a problem, he provides something, but to think and to get solution out of that. That is done by facilitator. And when it comes to facilitator, specifically the key things, he will help out to think about innovative way, insights to align the ideas, and when it comes to decision making, they can help for decision making too. And specifically, they are unbiased, transparent. Facilitator comes into transparent, very much honest towards participants, and you will try to see that. Specifically when it comes to fill station, in simple words, we can say that it's getting done and involving. This is all about training versus facilitation. Thank you. Over to Lan.
Facilitation process. For everything what we had to do there, we need some skills. Facilitation skills are the most important for the leaders to perform, to do it very well. For facilitation skills are needed to do good planning and good involvement of the members and create good opportunity to the members. Some of the facilitation skills are prior preparation. We should have a prior preparation so that we can have a good agenda, prepared good agenda, and the material which are required for to go on to the agenda is required for the prior preparation. After prior preparation, we have to go for the making process. A good process has to be initiated, and we have to go for a clear communication, which is very important for the facilitator to have a clear communication, because a good conversation has to be done among the participants. And active listening is also very important, because when the participants have a good listening, this leads to a good conversation, and which helps us in taking a good decision. In decision making, it helps us in a good decision making. And active participation will also taken place. And we go for the next clear dealing with the process, good dealing process. And what we have to do is we have to deal it in a good process, because there should not be any overlap in the conversation. There is not be heating topics between the members. So a good we have to deal the situation with a good process. And some asking questions also to be taken. When asking questions will take place to go for a good interaction, and we also make them to have a good conversation. A facilitator can super change a team's performance members. Facilitation skills definitely makes a good difference. Thank you, one and all.
The facilitation process, but facilitation process is actually, what is the facilitation process that you are going to learn? It is an organizing, equalizing, and equity of work. That is what the facilitation process is. How the facilitation process goes ahead, there should be some strategies for it. The strategies for the facilitation process is that what would be the strategies? That is to learn, to make them learn. That is intention impartiality, that is the first. Then second one, developing group agreements, such, because you are facilitating a group. So development of the group agreement, how the group should be agreed with it, guide the group for that, with the content, with the contest, and then power dynamics. Power dynamics is a different part which you have to use, equalizing power dynamics among the people. Suppose you are the 7 people over here, one will be going ahead with the power dynamic, but that power dynamic is to be equalized. That is more important. So the equalizing of power dynamics, then giving the guidance during the discussion. When the facilitation process is there, everywhere, when you have a discussion, so guidance should be there, the content should be there, and then the facilitation process goes ahead within the team. Within the team, it goes ahead, and that team then creates the facilitation process is always for an organization. For an organization, it is a really a good part, because the facilitation among the people can create leadership. That is a structure. It develops a structure, it designs, and then it creates. That is the final thing. That is what the strategies are. Thank you. Over to Shiva Prasad.
Thank you, Vikramji. Good evening, all of you. Friends, today I will share about the necessary tools of facilitation. The purpose of facilitation is to connect the people to each other, and the facilitator should be a knowledgeable person, whatever the topic is. So facilitator should be stay neutral and transparent, and facilitator should take a leadership role whenever required or necessary. So facilitator should build up the
For the group is that you have to build the trust more. Only when you build trust, the communication process will be a two-way process. For that, you have to start only with open-ended questions, because we have open-ended questions, there will be more time for reflection.
Here goes.
Jawharji.
So, thank you, Vijayji. You have seen an example regarding the debriefing, how debriefing has been done by Lion Vijaya Lakshmi ji. Now we are going to show you one video. You must have seen this video many times. You must have used this video in your presentation also. But now, with a deeper level of thinking. Now you watch this video very carefully. You will have to discuss in your group. Watch every character very carefully. Get into the emotions of this video. Discuss amongst yourself. See what is happening. Start thought process, and let us see the video. After this video, the group is already been prepared. We have team of mentors over here. Every group will be having a facilitation by one mentor with you, and you can discuss in your group. And as Dr. Jyoti rightly said, that after 12 minutes of the discussion, every group will represent here one person from every group. He will be given a time of 1 minute to 2 minutes to debrief about this video. And then our uncle, he will be known as uncle now, okay? Not Leo, uncle. So Leo uncle will give his remarks very carefully. So I request Shailesh ji to start the video.
Where the negotiation was going on, the emotions, the connectivity was something. In this, the emotions and connectivity is something. Where you have to correlate that and give your presentation. Understand it and correlate it. I'm sure you will will understand why why we are speaking about the first video, the negotiation. Okay, thanks.
Dr. Bihani and Vijaya Lakshmi. It was wonderful beginning you started with. Friends, let's give them a big hand. Now we will see actual implementation, okay? Active participation of all the groups. Friends, here debriefing means we need to achieve the broadening and deepening, deep learning through debriefing. Okay, debriefing is very important. Generally, every trainer, they show various number of videos are available. We go on showing them. But what happens is, debriefing, there we need to improve a bit. What is that improving? Improving for the broadening of the information of the learning and deepening down, the more knowledge, more know-how about it, and how we relate to our Lernistic journey. And so that we learn something, go back to our clubs or our district and implement, apply the same knowledge and learning on that particular Lernistic journey. Are you getting? That is the objective behind debriefing. Otherwise, videos everybody is showing. And that is what is the subject, video-based debriefing. Now, so to help you out, all our group members, they will come to your group and they will facilitate the debriefing. So that in yourselves, among yourselves, that thought process will get ignited. You will relate all the things that are happening at your club or the district level, and what things you are learning, you will come forward and you will tell us. Okay? All the very best. Please take your position.
I hate this too. 3.91 lakhs in 1 year, and that was my major program. My dear friends, I am very happy to tell you that this program was again, after every month, people used to go and DVD it so that when we maintain it for 3 years and we require no maintenance for any plant. So DVDing also was done by the students, and that was the activity of NSS. That's how we could achieve this tree plantation. Now you can see that place, it is beautifully, it's like a mini forest, it is like a forest. So this is the success story and a case study on tree plantation. And thank you very much.
Now, the trees have been planted, jungle has been created. So jungle mein mudal karna hai. So we bring to you because we say in India, marriages doesn't happen to two persons. It happens to two families, two generations, where they look forward for a better future. Now, I call upon Lion Sanjeev Pancholi, who will talk on how mass marriages in tribal areas.
Friends, I have selected my subject, mass marriages in tribal area. Why? When I had been district governor, this was one of the signature project. Friends, I had been a person from the construction industry. So the tribal people were very near to my heart. I used to go their villages, I used to meet them very oftenly. And I had been invited many times to their marriages also. It was really fun to us. But I can say the people, they are very conservative. They are really conservative, and they have lots of different way of their life. I can say the many tribes, they have different types of people. I can say it's near about the 3 states border, the Gujarat, the Maharashtra and the Madhya Pradesh. I had been visited many places due to my construction labor. So once I went to the Kawat area, you might be knowing the great area where the tribal people are, you see, they have lots of energy and they are celebrating their marriages in the period of Holi. The Holi is the biggest festival of the tribal people. And in the Holi session, they select the brides. In their fair, they select the brides, and thereafter their marriages are going on from March, April, and in month of May. So I visited Kawat, I had visited the Pavagadh areas, you might be knowing very well, that is in Gujarat in the dark forest area. And thereafter, I have been also to the area of the Dediyapada, the famous Narmada Dam, Sardar Sarovar Dam is there. The nearby area is the Dediyapada. See, all three different types of community I had visited many times. And I found that the people are very innocent, because basically they are from the villages, they are very innocent. In the construction industries, they are very hard worker. And above all, they are the funny people, I can say, and they have lots of wonderful, their own culture, own art. So once I had been invited to one of the village, one of the worker is working with my company, and he has invited me for his, for his marriage. So I went there, and I found a lot of people who were dancing in a different manner. Their menu was different. Their, you see, they have a different type of clothes and culture and everything. I was really amazed. Thereafter, I checked that they are wasting their lots of time, lots of money, because at the same time, they are very innocent, very conservative, but they are wasting their lot of time and money. So once I tried to tell them, the mukhya of the village, that why don't you have a mass marriage in your area? So he laughed on me. Sir, this is a very unique idea from you, but we may not be agree. Because you see that we have a dowry. हमारे वहाँ दावा होता है, मतलब while we married, there is the bride, so we have to give money. So that is a tradition, and anybody can get married with anybody. So if the lady is married, there is no problem. If you go in the heart, go into the fair, then the traditional fair, so you can offer them. They will, if she is happy with you, she will come with you. So आपको दावा देना पड़ता है, मतलब you have to give some money उसके husband को. So that was a tradition, and I found this. You see, as a Lions, I understood that this is not something fair. So there should be much more culture. There should be change. And I told the mukhya that why we cannot arrange tribal mass marriage with you. So he was laughed on me, but everything was planned with the help of local Lions clubs nearby there. So we have many Lions clubs around this tribal area, and I asked one of my Lions club who is in the tribal area that I would like to appoint you as the district chairman for the tribal mass marriage. Will you take this opportunity and will you take this challenge? He said, obviously, sir, I am very happy to serve at this position, and you will not believe. During the tenure, I have conducted more than five mass marriages. And in the one mass marriage, there is around 15, 16, 17 couples were there. So, while the Lions was involved, so we have collected a lot of donations from the society, and we have given a lot of things to the bride and the groom. So the people becomes very happy, and we also done a lot of culture about the tribal culture. We fun and all. That was a good fun. And while we had a great gathering, so it was a really fun to all of us and to understand the diversified people of our area. So we were not knowing them, but it was the moment, and it was the opportunity that Lions had did it. And I can say, as we the Lions since we are the nation builders. And during those, when I had been governor, my slogan was service by heart. And this year, international president have a slogan, service from the heart. So I can say the Lionism has never changed since the last 15 years. The same slogan, the same way we are working. Our matter has given as a team name, Maverick Octane, and it was in a hard set. So I have also suggested our slogan as a Dilse, because it was the wonderful year of my district governorship as a Dilse, and I'm very happy and very proudly I'm saying that I did a lot for the mass marriages for the tribal area, and I loved it because it was our responsibility to build our nation, and by giving something to tribal people, it was a really happy moment for us, And that's it what I did. And this says thank you very much.
Naturally, the things which came to my mind was not other than the water conservation, that is the check dam. I'm going to share because I have been given only 5 minutes, so maximum I would like to cover. Everybody said now water. Can you tell me how much time one can stay without water here? Today we are sitting in the AC, but at least not more than how many hours? Yeah? Not more over 1 hour. So just imagine a tribal lady traveling 3 to 4 kilometers every day and getting just a bucket of water. So I am going to tell how the water is important, particularly in the rural life. So I would like to share this presentation which was selected from all over the world and it was shown in the World Service Week presentation. So I just like to say the water is the most precious thing on the earth. Everybody of us know. And if you see, just for the statistic purpose, कि हमारे दुनिया में अभी वर्ल्ड में कितना पानी, only 4% of the total water available is fresh water, that is a drinkable water, और उसमें से only 0.007% is in lake and rivers. Now when we study 50% of India every year, they see, face the drought-like condition every year. और जो हमारा district है, उसमें जो मोखाड़ा and जवार areas है, they are not lucky and they are always having a very difficult problem. जैसे मैंने कहा कि all these ladies, they have to travel literally 4 to 5 kilometers. These are the actual photographs which you can see here to just get a bucket of water. Just look at this lady with her kid, she has to travel to get this water, and that also water इतना गंदा होता है कि that why has to wait. हमने क्या किया? Now we understand the need and then we identified what are the things to be needed. We have the series of meetings. Then I personally visited these sites that where these check dams can be made and how you can change the life of the tribal people. And how the check dam? Now this is a check dam of actual photograph. It's actually concrete structure made just to check the water or to stop the water which otherwise flows during the monsoon. And these are the various sites which we have visited and हमने देखा कि what are the where the areas that is required. These are the actual photographs how the check dam started constructed in the 2018-19 during my governorship. And these are the check dams which was constructed. You can see the kind of water storage each check dam is having. What has happened now as a case study, जैसे हम Lions understand the needs and look at the result. Within a year, wherever the check dam or whichever the village we had constructed the check dam, all this village life has transferred. The villagers, the families, their children, their family, which normally used to migrate during summer because there was no used to be water, they can started staying there. Their children can continue the education, and these are the actual photographs what the check dam that has been made. Each check dam is having a capacity of almost 70 lakhs liter to 2 crores liters of water. And just see what you see. You can, if you go to this area during the summer, you will see these are the farmers which have benefited and how they started the cultivations. Every year we have been visiting there, and in fact I am very happy this year our multiple has committed 22 check dams for this understanding the benefit and understanding the benefit of this particular check dams and the water conservation. These are the actual crops which are being taken by the farmers, which they have sold and started living their earning. These are the strawberries. You will not imagine in our area में हम सोचते strawberries only in Mahabaleshwar, but in Mokhada and Jawar area also, this is our governor enjoying the strawberry. यहाँ just I would like to share one example. When we went there, हमने जब check dam बनाया, when we constructed the check dam, that village used to be totally dry, barren land. They could not take any cultivation. हमने when we constructed the check dam, and in 1920 when we visited, the farmer cultivated the strawberry there. He gave a bucket of, almost पूरी टोकरी भर के हमने strawberry दे दिया उन्होंने. So I offered him some money. So he said, no sir, now we are not takers, now we are givers. So that is the satisfaction a Lion member gets, that you are making them to self-sufficient and then continue this. And this is what the results are. And friends, you will not believe they have started cultivating so many crops and they have become self-dependent and earning almost 30 to 40,000 rupees a month. They stay at their home during the summer. Their children can go to the school, and the biggest benefit I feel that the education, because their children can take the education. Then we went a step ahead. We started water lifting project with the solar lights, so water can be lifted, and we have fitted the imported filters where the drinkable water can be given. These are all actual photographs what you see, friends, and these are the transformation. A small step by Lion member, and that is what I selected this for a case study, that one stall there by the Lions can really change. These are the few benefits. these are the few benefits of a check dam. It's a water conservation project. It increases the water level bed. It helps tribal population to get water for drinking. It prevents the migration, as I mentioned, because migration was a very important criteria where children can continue their education. And these are the various benefits of the check dam. And friends, as I mentioned to you, all the check dams, so far we have constructed in our district and multiple, 37 check dams having a capacity of 50 crore liters of water. Just imagine, a friend, this kind of a water available to the tribal people during the summer. And this is what I feel as a case study, every land member can really generate. And I personally feel that each land member should take this kind of some permanent project which can make a difference to the people. और इसलिए मैं कहता हूँ, जब बांटोगे दर्द किसी का, सुख तुमको मिल जाएगा, तब तेरे रेगिस्तानों में भी फूल कोई खिल जाएगा. Thank you.
That's the water baby. Before we start with the last one, we say no. When wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost. So I present to you live Jagan Mohan Reddy, who will be presenting a case study on reforms.
All, my dear friends, there was a child caught red-handed by the mother, then quarreling with the classmates and then with their parents. The mother interrupted, took him to the house and gave a big slap and taught a lesson. How dare you to quarrel with that elderly people? What is your age? What is their age? So I said, the child said that no, it is not my mistake, it is whatever it may be. What is their age? What is your age? Be humble, don't quarrel, don't be arrogant, be happy whatever it is there, and you have to be humbleness. So that's the lesson the child learned. And then later on, father is his teacher. When he is trying to copy to get first in the class, father did not allow. And when the child is trying to steal the paper, question paper, again father did not allow. And again he reprimanded and said, snapped and said, you will not come up in your life. Any shortcuts will not give you your life. So you have to work hard, and you have nothing to do. And the father said, I should not misuse my power, giving you more marks. And I must be unbiased, even if the teacher came. So that was the lesson again the child learned. And then when he was studying in the 9th class, he was a class monitor. Then he requested the girl sitting at the next door of the window, next to the window. And the boys challenged him, can you make them to vacate? You are a monitor of the class. Then when requested, the girl said no. Then the boy went discreetly back out of the class and placed some crackers behind that window and then lit fire. Then the panic. The girls left that place, they never want to sit there. And the boy came out with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of success. The success does not last more than an hour. The class teacher came and asked the class, who did this? The total silence. Then again, second time, he said, who did this? I want the same guy to come and accept his mistake. Then total silence. The third time he said, who is that bloody coward? Anyhow I will be finding out that coward. Then immediately the boy stood up and said, I did it. And then I am ready to take the punishment. The teacher called near. Instead of punishing him, the teacher encouraged him and made everybody to clap for his courage to stand to accept his mistake. And then again he said, it is a courageous only can speak truth. Be courageous, come what may. This is another lesson the child learned. He went on to become, and then he was working hard. He did not get seat in the colleges. He studied in the night college, engineering, and become an entrepreneur, working and become an entrepreneur. He joined Lionism, he became a governor. The moment he became a governor, he wanted to bring some kind of reforms. Then first and foremost, what he said that no advertisements. The governor said no advertisements. Absolutely no advertisements. Earlier everybody is collecting advertisements, no advertisements. Number two, it is one-day conference. Never before. I said I will do it then one day only because the governors are exploiting the candidates. When you make the 2 days conference, you have to provide all kind of accommodation and all. And then he said first time introduce the residential workshop for the president, secretary, treasurer, and then the RCZC. That's again the first time. And then he motivated people, clubs to pay all their district dues and multiple dues by the day of district installation. Out of 95 clubs, 90 clubs paid the district installation before the district installation. And then again, out of 95, 92 clubs has taken the official call dates. That's over. And then when he became the chairman of a big trust, this is Lions Bound Trust, it was running under loss, never making any profits. And then immediately he said, after accepting as the chairman of the trust, within 5 minutes he converted the loss into profit then and there itself by his own decisions. Then immediately after that, he visited a high hospital, started 86. This was 2001. It was running accidentally, doing 10 operations, 15 operations, sometimes no operations. It was like that, it's a verge of collapse. And then the governor went there, visited, he put his foot down and said, either you close the hospital or change the management. If you don't change the management, then I'm going to write it to international, and then your hospital will be closed or taken over. Then and there itself, against the constitutional implications and all, and then management is changed. And then from that day onwards, the hospital is doing 150 operations. Sometimes it touched 250 operations. For the last several years, 20 years, it is running in that fashion. And there was another Heart and Eye Foundation Trust. And there only 9 trustees are there. 6 people are always inactive. They are rotating their own terms. Then I said, they proposed again, once again, last 10 years he is doing it. They said same person will be continuing. Then the governor said that you have done a great job for doing for last years. Let's give opportunity for others. Then they changed the management of that trust. And they were having only 5 lakhs that time. And now they have 1 crore by changing the bylaws and then accepting more and more trustees into that. Now there are 250 trustees, by which again they have 1 crore. Even the loss-making Heart and Eye Foundation also has converted into 1 crore. As a governor, he collected 25 lakhs way back in 2001 and converted that Lions Bound into a very aesthetic place with a lift and utilizing all the places. This is the story of a governor. It is who is that governor? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.